itt suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Mount Shasta held immense spiritual and cultural significance to the First Nation indigenous American peoples, some of whom have lineages dating back thousands of years. Mount Shasta, Sacred Mountain Bathed in Mystery, Part 1 of 2. Continue watching to find out more.
I am definitely vegan for ethical reasons for the animals. Everything else is important too, but I am vegan for animals. Tony Canal, vegan.
Hiri hiri, that's how you say hello to a group of friends in the Chachensi language, one of the indigenous dialects spoken by the Yokuts people. Benevolent viewers, I'm Payat. The spiritual Yokuts people treasure the bountiful gifts of Mother Nature and thank you for being good stewards of our precious earth through your eco-conscious vegan lifestyle. Welcome to part 1 of a 2-part series entitled Mount Shasta, Sacred Mountain Bathed in Mystery. In Northern California in the United States sits a majestic mountain clad in glaciers, steeped in history and clouded in mystery. Mount Shasta has long been revered by the First Nation American peoples as a holy mountain. It is the largest and the second highest peak at the southern end of the Cascades Mountain Range in Siskiyou County, California. The range arcs all the way from southern British Columbia in Canada to northern California in the USA. The area is an important part of the history and mythology of the indigenous people and is a magnet for wilderness enthusiasts as well as a modern-day spiritual seekers. In part 1 of this series, we will view the physical and geological aspects of this remarkable mountain. And in part 2, we will further explore the metaphysical allure of this sacred mountain and discover why it draws people from all over the world. Rising weekly at just over 14,000 feet, or 4,320 meters, Mount Shasta is a prominent double-peaked volcano, homed within 2.2 million acres, or 8,900 square kilometers of wilderness. It is situated in the Shasta Trinity National Forest in California, which boasts the most extensive range of thermal activity in the United States, excluding Yellowstone National Park. Waterways abound in the forest, with more than 6,000 miles or 9,650 kilometers of rivers and streams. Lakes and waterfalls are popular places for recreation and provide habitats for many species of plants and animal people. Visible from more than 100 miles or 160 kilometers away, the glacier-clad mountain has a colossal volume of 85 cubic miles or 350 cubic kilometers. The glaciers on Mount Shasta were formed during what is known as the Little Ice Age around 1,000 years ago. Mount Shasta houses the largest number of glaciers on one peak in California, with the United States Geological Survey, or USGS, recognizing 7 of them. These are officially named the Whitney, Ballum, Harlem, Winton, Watkins, Conwakiton, and Mud Creek Glaciers. The longest of these is Whitney Glacier, while Harlem Glacier is the largest in California. Although glaciers are beautiful to look at and dramatic to climb, With global warming on the rise, they also present the potential danger of reducing into glacial floods and becoming hazardous to nearby populations. All information concerning the scientific evidence of climate change and its solution is in Supreme Master Ching Hai's book, From Crisis to Peace, free for download at crisistopeace.org. The wildlife on and around Mount Shasta is varied and extensive. The Shasta Trinity National Forest covers a diverse landscape comprising of rugged mountain peaks, lush streamside valleys, vast meadows, and high volcanic desert. Around 4,700 acres, or 19 square kilometers of woodlands, riparian forests, seasonal wetlands, and croplands were officially designated as wildlife areas in 1991. And this, the Shasta Valley Wildlife Area, is now home to an abundance of flora and fauna. Around 800 species of plant life exist between the summit of Mount Shasta and its lowlands. Different varieties of fir are common below the tree line, including large stands of red, white, and Douglas fir, along with sugar pine and western white pine. Incense cedar, western juniper, black oak, and mountain dogwood are all found in the lower forests, with crumhose whitebark pine covering most of the landscape above 8,000 feet, or 2,400 meters. The wilderness is home to some rare plants, including Mount Shasta arnica, Siskiyou Indian paintbrush, and Shasta owl's clover. Another extremely scarce plant, thought to grow nowhere else in the world, is the Cook's Phacelia, while the Shasta lily is renowned for its rich fragrance and bearing the largest flowers. With such a diverse landscape within the forest, offering many different habitats, there is an abundant number of people from the bird kingdom on and around Mount Shasta. The interdependence of the avian friends and plant life can be seen in the lovely example of the sharp-billed clocked nutcracker person with its gray, black, and white plumage. This industrious bird person pecks out the seeds from the whitebark pine trees on the mountain, bearing the ones it cannot eat until later in the season when it will return to dig them up. Forgotten seeds will often sprout into new trees, and thus the forest is naturally regenerated. The wilderness is home to several varieties of jay and woodpecker people. We may also find citizens from the nocturnal polewilld kingdom and the nuthatch kingdom, who are the only tree climbers that walk down tree trunks headfirst in search of food. The black-headed grosbeak kingdom, who were seed eaters, related to sparrow and finch people, and the high country-dwelling mountain chickadee kingdom. The tiny American robin person is also found in large numbers. On the shores of the waterways, you will find great blue heron people standing around 4 feet or 1.2 meters tall with a wingspan of up to 6 feet or 1.8 meters, and the belted kingfisher people, which can be seen diving headfirst into the water. The dramatic bald eagle citizens have made a strong comeback into the area in the last few years, and you may also be lucky enough to spot a nectar-sipping hummingbird person. Other bird people that may be seen include owls, swallows, hawks, California quail and turkey, and the colorful western tanagers, whose yellow bodies, black wings, and the red heads may be spotted among the conifers. Sadly, Due to human activity such as hunting and raising animal people as livestock, some of the animal people who once called the mountainside home have now disappeared from the area, including wolf, grizzly bear, and bighorn sheep people. Members of the elk family were virtually extinct in the area, but have been reintroduced and are said to be now flourishing in the eastern part of the forest. People of the humankind frequently love to visit the area to enjoy the wilderness and soak up the natural beauty. Activities enjoyed in the Shasta Trinity National Forest include hiking, climbing, camping, and waterfall viewing during the summer months, alongside swimming, rafting, and kayaking. In the winter, there is ample opportunity for skiing, snowboarding, snowshoeing, and sledding. Mount Shasta experiences an average of 80 inches or 200 centimeters of powdery snowfall every year, and with more than 400 acres or 1.6 square kilometers of skiable land in Mount Shasta Ski Park, there is plenty of room for all levels of fun seekers. Tourism took off at Mount Shasta when the Central Pacific Railroad was completed in 1987, encouraging the first visitors to the area. In the early 1900s, there was another surge in tourism when the Pacific Highway brought roads to the base of the mountain. Previously, there was an influx of immigrants to the Mount Shasta region during the California Gold Rush that began in the late 1840s. The first recorded ascent of Mount Shasta was made in 1854 by British mountaineer Captain Elias D. Pierce, and soon afterwards, the mountain became of interest to the scientific community. In 1954, the Shasta Trinity National Forest was officially designated as federally managed land, and Mount Shasta itself was formally declared a National Natural Landmark in 1976. With the California Wilderness Act in 1984, U.S. Congress set out to protect and preserve areas that had previously been heavily logged and developed, and the Mount Shasta Wilderness was created. But long before any European settlers came to the area, Mount Shasta held immense spiritual and cultural significance to the First Nation indigenous American peoples, some of whom have lineages dating back thousands of years to a time when eruptions actually took place there. What is now known as the Mount Shasta Wilderness has a history of human habitation dating back some 7,000 years, and in that time, countless First Nation peoples have called the area home. Many local peoples, including the Modoc, Akamawi, Karuk, Klamath, Wintu, Aquanuchu, Shasta, and Yana, had lived in the area long before the arrival of any European settlers. To the generations of First Nation indigenous Americans, Mount Shasta is still a meaningful place of reverence and an important sacred site. In part 2 of this series, we will learn more about the spiritual significance of Mount Shasta to both the American peoples dwelling there and the modern-day spiritual seekers who are attracted to this special mountain.
There are stories of the lost continent of Lemuria lying hidden beneath the mountain, tales of ascended masters appearing on the slopes, and numerous UFO sightings. Mount Shasta, Sacred Mountain Bathed in Mystery, Part 2 of 2. Continue watching to find out more.
No too vegan, so you can die young in a languishing fashion.
La la oh, la la oh, oh ade oh, na we are.
While enjoying delectable vegan food with your Yokuts friends, express your delight with Oi Isana, meaning I'm happy in the indigenous Chachenzi dialect. Joyous viewers, I'm Payat. The peaceful Yokuts people invite you to pray for humanity, to cherish all life on earth. Welcome to part 2 of a 2-part series entitled Mount Shasta, Sacred Mountain Bathed in Mystery.
Oh, me,
Today, we look at the mysteries and stories surrounding the awe-inspiring Mount Shasta. Let's begin with the First Nations of the indigenous American people who recognized something special about this holy mountain long before any settlers set foot in the region. Local First Nation American peoples have a significant and long-standing connection to Mount Shasta, which is considered a sacred place for those living in the area, including the Shasta, Achumawi, Modoc, and Wintu First Nations, most of whom can trace their lineages back over many generations. Mount Shasta is known as Wakanuni Tokiuki to the Shasta people. It is named after the Great Spirit, who is believed to have brought their people to this ancestral home. The name means to walk around and around, but never on top. The sacred mount is only traversed when seeking purification. According to Shasta lore, the area above the tree line has been reserved for the gods, so a Shasta person would only travel there under very special circumstances. The Shasta believe that the mountain should be left in an unaltered state after any human activity there. There are several First Nation legends about the origin of Mount Shasta. One of these is from the Shasta people, where the old man above, also known as Charea, carved a hole in the sky with a stone and pushed ice and snow through it until he made a great mound rise up from the plain. Stepping from cloud to cloud, he climbed down until he finally reached the icy mass that was the earth. When the sun shone through the hole in the sky, it began to melt the ice and snow, which turned into streams, watering the trees he had planted by digging his fingers into the earth. And so, Mount Shasta was born. Another legend, known as Mount Shasta and the Great Flood, tells how the character known as Coyote avoided floodwaters by escaping to the top of Mount Shasta, where other animal people joined him. Once the floodwaters subsided, leaving dry land among lakes and marshes, the people of the animal kingdom came down the mountain, scattering everywhere, making new homes for themselves, and becoming the ancestors of all the animal peoples on earth. The Wintu First Nation also has strong historic and ongoing connections to Mount Shasta. Originally, 9 bands of Wintu, which means people, resided on Mount Shasta. There are now only 3, one of which is the Winnemem people. This group originally numbered more than 10,000. However, there are now only around 125. Deeply connected to nature, their religious practices have always included the care of holy places on land near and on Mount Shasta. They consider the area their special place of worship and look after the mountain, water, and its sacred sites through ceremonies, prayers, songs, and dances. There are also stories from Modoc First Nation about the existence of the elusive Bigfoot, crossing the line between reality and myth. The Modoc word for Bigfoot is Matakakmi, known as the keepers of the woods. People over the years have reported sightings of a Bigfoot at Mount Shasta, and while others dispute their existence, it seems there are many mysterious and compelling forces that keep the fascinating and enigmatic aura of this mountain alive. More recent stories also abound about Mount Shasta that draw spiritual seekers from all over the world to this mountain. There are accounts of the lost continent of Lemuria lying hidden beneath the mountain, tales of ascended masters appearing on the slopes, and numerous UFO sightings. These incredibly mysterious-looking phenomena are the lenticular cloud formations that are often observed around the mountain and thought to be UFOs or visual cover for spaceships. While the lens-shaped clouds can be explained from a scientific point of view, adding to their enigma is the way these clouds may appear and disappear relatively quickly, and science cannot explain away all the numerous mystical happenings and sightings occurring on the mountain. The notion of a race of Lemurian people living inside Mount Shasta was likely first ignited in the 1880s, when a teenager, Frederick Spencer Oliver, wrote a spiritual novel called A Dweller on Two Planets. The story tells how Lemurians live beneath the mountain in a series of secret tunnels. Mr. Oliver said that he wrote the book with the channeled assistance of a spiritual being named Philos the Tibetan, who conveyed a true personal account to him over the course of 3 years. The book was published after Mr. Oliver passed away at the young age of 33. Afterwards, esoteric legends emerged about a mystical temple inside the mountain, mysterious lights, a secret tunnel entryway, and spaceships coming out of the slopes. In the early 1920s, the esteemed Madame H.P. Blavatsky, vegetarian, founder of the Theosophical Society, also wrote about the link between Lemurians and Mount Shasta, further kindling the idea of a lost civilization. Another book was published in 1931 by Rosicrucian author and mystic Frater Dr. Harvey Spencer Lewis, titled Lemuria, the Lost Continent of the Pacific. His book kept a fascination with Lemuria alive. The legends of Lemuria are numerous, with some believing that the history of Lemuria goes back millions of years to when the lost continent stretched all the way from the western United States to lands in the Indian Ocean. After an upheaval in civilization some thousands of years ago, Telos, a city of light, was created inside Mount Shasta for the Lemurians to live in, where they would be safe from any disruptions on the Earth's surface. It is believed that over 1 million highly evolved Lemurians may live there today. Lemurian society is described as an earthly paradise, highly spiritually advanced, and an inspiration for humanity as a civilization of peace and abundance. According to the book Telos, the call goes out from the Hollow Earth and the Underground Cities by Diane Robbins, published in 2000. The Lemurians have created a heaven on earth in their underground world. She puts forward the idea that they are anticipating coming out only when humanity is ready to learn from them and to replicate their noble example here on Earth. The author talks about Lemuria being an advanced civilization with their own central sun, oceans, and mountains, all in a pristine form. There are other stories reported over the years of beings with long flowing hair, about 7 feet or 2 meters tall, clad in white robes, buying supplies in the local general store and paying with chunks of gold, but vanishing before the shopkeeper could give them change. In the early 1930s, American mining engineer Guy Warren Ballard described encountering the venerated Ascended Master Saint Germain, vegetarian, on a mountain while hiking. Master Saint Germain is said to have revealed sacred secrets that had been guarded for many centuries, awaiting the cosmic moment for humanity's awakening. The blessed truths were faithfully recorded in books by Mr. Ballard, and these became the basis for the teachings of the Saint Germain Foundation. Mr. Ballard's book, Unveiled Mysteries, explains his encounter with the Master in detail, and he reveals the teachings of both Saint Germain and other ascended masters who exist in a higher realm. In the book, he says, "I was led step by step to realize and accept the mighty God presence within my own being." The meeting on the mountain was the origin of the I Am movement, started by Guy Warren Ballard, that reached over 1 million followers in the late 1930s. The organization is still popular today, and each summer, many visitors attend pageants at the Germain Amphitheater in Mount Shasta City. Another legend tells of a British gold prospector, J.C. Brown, who found an underground city inside Mount Shasta in 1904. Apparently, he unearthed a cave that sloped downwards for 11 miles, or 18 kilometers, into an underground village. The cave was filled with gold, shields, and mummies, some reported to be up to 10 feet, or 3 meters tall. Mount Shasta is certainly a peak of spiritual significance to a great number of people for many different reasons. From the First Nation peoples to present-day spiritual seekers, as Mount Shasta continues to enchant and delight those who are drawn to it, may this revered mountain inspire us all to reconnect with our God nature within. For more information on Mount Shasta, please visit mtshasta.gov.